my talk of the table, love him too, Steve Martin. He does adorable things too.
Yes.
Over the years, he has starred in dozens of movies, but now he says he's focusing his talents elsewhere, including TV. He's also teamed up with famed cartoonist, that would be Harry Bliss, for a new memoir of sorts. It's called, I love this title, Number One is Walking, My Life in the Movies and Other Diversions. So we caught up with a pair in Martin's New York City apartment the other day for an afternoon of behind-the-scenes stories, drawing, and yep, a little banjo playing. We began, though, with the cartoons, or what the duo calls diversions. Could you read the one about the centipede at the shoe store?
Oh, well, that's easy to read.
Okay.
Uh-oh. I mean, a centipede with 100 feet goes into a shoe store, and the shoe salesman just say, uh-oh.
Then there's this one about a cat.
Go ahead and search me, especially under the chin and belly area.
Oh, and my favorite might be the baby.
Oh, I love the baby.
Okay, how would you read that one, Steve?
It's a couple like doting over the baby, and the baby just thinks, I own you.
Didn't you feel that when your daughter was
Absolutely.
born? Yeah.
Born in charge.
Yeah.
We should explain the title, because
Yes.
I always worried about the title because it sounds arrogant.
And the picture on the cover
it looks a little arrogant.
looks a tad arrogant, Mr. Barton, but
That's
go
the way
ahead.
I walk normally. When you're doing a movie outdoors on location, instead of saying, Tom Cruise is coming to the set, they
Or
go by
Steve Martin's coming to
whatever.
the set. Yes.
They'll say, according to the call sheet, 1, 2, 3, 4. So Tom Cruise would be number one. So they would say number one is walking. So the public doesn't go, Tom Cruise. Yeah. With me, they go, Steve Martin.
So I'm curious about how the partnership between the two of you came together. Did you call him? Did he call you? Were you guys old friends?
We were introduced.
Like a blind date?
In a way, only we didn't meet each other. I said one of the great things about working with Harry is we never see each other. So he lives in New Hampshire and I live here. And no, we were put together by the New Yorker.
I grew up watching SNL, so Belushi and Aykroyd and Chevy Chase and all that whole cast, and Steve, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Yeah. There are certain scenes in Steve's movies. I've not really said much of this to you over the few years we've been doing this, but there are scenes that are some of the funniest scenes I've ever seen in films.
Look, Doctor, he's so happy he's crying.
I always think of a movie career as not like a bunch of movies, but a bunch of clips, And when you're summarized on television or something, they show clips. Yeah. So you got to have some really good clips.
And Steve Martin has no shortage of good clips.
Those aren't pillows.
Dear Neighbor,
and don't forget to fasten your condom.
Dad!
Seatbelt, amen.
So how did you all decide what movies you were going to include and how you were going to do it? You go first, Mr. Martin, please.
Well, you pick it according to what stories you have.
So if Steve is telling me an anecdote about Roxanne, and he tells me it was filmed in British Columbia in this town, I'll look up the town and do some research on what it looked like.
He can draw Jackie Onassis's apartment,
yes.
And I don't have to describe it because I can tell him what was there. But the drawings are so complete and full.
You know what I'm learning, guys, about this book? He gives you anecdotes, and then it seems like you have to do a lot of homework to research to nail it just right.
I'll jump in because it's not easy to remember these stories. You have to sit there at night and you go, oh yeah.
Let's talk about Three Amigos. That iconic picture of the Three Amigos, and then you make a point of saying, this is a ladder. So you're not even sitting on horses, Steve.
A horse can be tricky. You get thrown off a horse, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So for photographs and close-ups, we would sit on ladders. Mm-hmm. And then we'd try to ride the ladders, which was sad.
And one of my favorite stories in the book is Paul McCartney and music. That is a great story, guys.
It's an absolutely true story. Every detail of that is true.
Okay, set that up for us.
I was working with a producer. I was doing one of my banjo bluegrass albums, and I'd written all the songs. And the producer, Tony Trishka, who's a great banjo player, said, you know who I hear singing this song? I said, who? He said, Paul McCartney. I write him and I say, my producer thinks you should sing this. Well, he said, why don't you sing it? And I said, because I don't have a good voice. And I said, look, let me just make up a demo of it. I'll sing it on the demo and so you can hear how the song goes, and I'll send it to you. I get a call, and he says, you know, I listened to the demo. He said, when you said you couldn't sing, I thought you were being humble. And he said, okay, I'll do it. He was the most charming, gigantic star I've ever met.
Now it was time to watch the multi-talented masters at work. Is this one of your own compositions? Yes. What shall we call it, Gayle? Doesn't that have a ring
No, I'm
to
going
it?
to call it Barbara Walters.
Harry Bliss drew inspiration from my figure eight. I like loopy things.
And I have Steve come up with a caption.
Okay, all right, Steve, you have to come up with a
gee.
caption.
Want to.
What's the caption?
About, it's sold for under $1 million, so I don't like it.
I like that. You said you lost interest in movies the same time movies lost interest in you. Tell me
Well,
about
what I
that.
meant was, you know, movies started to change. The style became different. They became, you know, epics. Also, you know, I now have a family.
So it was more about family life as opposed to the love of movies? Because you still seem to love movies.
I do love movies, but I also love television. I also love Only Murders in the Building.
But to care about a murder mystery, you need to care about the person who was murdered. Who is Tim Kono?
You know, it's just a different kind of thing, and the quality shifted.
Bliss says this about his partnership with Martin.
We always agreed that as long as it's fun and it doesn't feel like work, because I love to draw.
Yes.
And it's Steve, and he's funny, and I love to listen to him. We'll just keep doing it.
And Harry, let's talk about Harry, because he's a legendary cartoonist. He's written and illustrated more than 20 children's books.
Wow.
And creator of a couple dozen of the New Yorker covers. But the thing about Steve and the banjo, it was in another room. It's not like it was just laying there. And when I was walking, I said, oh, Steve, would you play the banjo? He goes, I really don't think that's necessary for this story. I don't want to be that guy that's like, here, listen to me. I go, but it could just be a funny bit. He goes, I really don't want to do that. But groveling is very effective.
Yeah,
So
of
he
course.
ended up doing, he goes, and now the music's going to need to match. I go, let the team figure that. And the team figured that out very well. Shout out to the team who put that together. Matt Kugelman, great editing, because that's hard to do.
He was talking about the importance of movie clips that are funny. He's got a lot of movie clips that are funny.
does.
It's hard to choose your
He
favorite.
does.
Many. He's a legend. Yeah.
But you know what he says about his movies, that you have to do at least, you have to wait at least 10 years to see if it's really good. Does it have legs?
Oh, really?
That's according to Steve Martin. And he says you have to make at least 40 movies to get 5 good ones.
Wow.
So there's a lot of wisdom about his thinking in the book. It's very well done. The illustrations are great, and the book is very funny.
40 and make 5 good ones? A lot of
Yes.
directors fly this morning wondering if they're one of the 5.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
There's a question. Number one is Walking. Don't you like that title?
It's a great title.
You know that?
Number one is, you know, that's what we say when you walk into the studio.
No, that is not at all what they say. They say, she's here. She showed up again. Number one is Walking is on sale now wherever you like to buy your books.